Let's get going with our first question, Jim, from Twitter, using the hashtag #QuennyDriveThru. This is from Harry. I'm Harry from West Sussex, England.
Well, then get a shave, mate. What can I tell you? No, go ahead.
I've been listening to your podcast for a while, but I haven't heard any mention of Mr. Anderson. I'm sure in a shoot he did say something about Jim not booking him in OVW, and I would just like to hear Jim's side. Thanks. Personally, I thought he was a roided-up, stone-cold wannabe, good mic skills, average in the ring. I wouldn't have booked him anyway. So Harry wouldn't have booked Mr. Anderson, Jim, but what are your thoughts?
No, well, actually, I don't know Ken Anderson well, but I kind of almost have to think that he's somewhat paranoid. He started in OVW, I think about the last 6 months that I was there in 2005, or at least that I was booking. And to be honest, I thought he looked good. He was in shape, had a good look. I thought he did a decent promo. He was very green at that point, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but if he'd been working in Wisconsin for a period of time or whatever, he was a little green for the main stage, right? And I remember, before I put the guys on TV, a lot of times, unless it was, some major Brock Lesnar or some major star coming in, well, even then I did it. I would put them on just the spot shows, either over at the flea market or at one of the local high schools or whatever, just to watch them and see what the fuck I had. And I saw Ken Anderson have a good match, and then I saw him have a couple that was bleh. And it just, I started him on OVW television by putting him in a group, I believe, with the Blonde Bombers, who were Tank Toland, who was a tremendous talent, and another one of those guys that got fucked over by that system, because he could have been a big star. But anyway, and his gimmick brother Chad, who was his gimmick brother, and I think they were what were they? Were they the Dick brothers in WWF or whatever? They gave him some stupid whatever the fuck.
Yeah,
anyway,
so then didn't they get fired, or one of them dicks they got into a fight with each other in the locker room? Or
I think, and there you go. Tank had a brother named Chad. There you go. And God, but Tank was fucking tremendous. But anyway, they were kind of established here in OVW, and they were blonde, so Anderson was blonde, so I put him in a three-way thing to work with some fucking baby faces because they were blondes. And I'm just going to give him a chance to get started and get acclimated. Nobody had told me, and I never did hear, and I don't think it was ever said, that you need to fast-track this fucking guy. He's going to be a goddamn superstar. Nobody gave a shit. He was one of the guys that came in. And that's where it stood for 4, 5, or 6 months maybe. And then I was gone as booker, and they brought Mr. Heyman in, and I guess he was one of the guys that Heyman just loved. And so suddenly he apparently got the opinion that I just hated him because I said he had a good match, a couple of bad ones, and he was green, and I put him in this fucking thing to give him a place to start because obviously Heyman had realized his talent. And he's gone on to have a long and successful career since then. I'm sorry, but I never fucking told the guy that I can recall that he was the shits or in any way said, I'm going to bury you. I just wasn't thrilled at the start more than anybody else. He was an average guy, and I started him in the mix in something where he could grow on his own. What Heyman did with him from there out of, but it was, and I love Paul, but that was at the period of time where also to make it look like he was making a giant impact in OVW, which he did. The TV ratings went down and the bottom line decreased, and my profit participation shrank during the 6 months or so that he could not figure out a way to get out of it, that they made him do it. But he started putting – we always had our amateur class wrestlers and family and friends or whatever that weren't real actual fans sit over in a special section, and we put all the fans on camera in the stands, especially across from where all the regulars had their regular seats. And it was actually understood. They had regular seats on bleachers. It's just amongst all the fans, they understood every week where they sat because they were the ones that got there first. And all of a sudden, Heyman wants the show to look, oh my gosh. So he starts putting all the amateur class guys that aren't on TV and all their girlfriends and friends and family, or whatever, across from the hard camera, and tells them to just jump up and down and scream and yell and make all the noise they can. And he edged all the fans that actually were fucking coming every week on purpose over to the sides where they didn't like their favorite seat and fucking didn't get on camera. And so some of them got pissed off and quit coming. But as a result, it created an artificial atmosphere where if you're telling the people on camera in the stands that are supposed to be fans how to react and to jump and yell and scream at specific things, then that may be fine if you're just trying to get your business over. But it didn't do the boys any favors, because the people that he was telling them to scream and yell for the loudest weren't necessarily the guys that the regular fans were screaming and yelling for the loudest. And it just looked fucking odd in a lot of cases. It looked almost like they were doing it on purpose, you might say. So he may have been one of those guys that all of a sudden, as soon as Paul takes over the book, people are standing up and yelling and screaming for him. I don't know. Maybe Paul, he didn't smarten the fucking guys up. I don't know. As far as a talent, his promos were okay, although the whole microphone thing was just a little stagey to me sometimes. And athletically, he seemed like he was a pretty good worker, but I know Randy Orton will take issue with that. But I don't really have that much opinion either way about Mr. Anderson, but I didn't bury him on purpose. And I haven't seen that much of him in the past 10 years, really. So there you go.
Either has anyone else, but let's get going with our next question here, Jim.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. I must fan myself momentarily. The flames came close to me.